Hi, this is Phil Burgess of Strong Heart TV. I'm currently here in South Africa, and just about a week ago I was in Cape Town, where I was lucky enough to have an interview with Liesl Schoonraad. Liesl's done a lot of work in schools with anti-bullying, but she's also done some amazing feats of strength and stamina. However, rather than me talk more, let's go straight to the interview. Enjoy it, guys. Hi Liesl, how you going?
Very well, thanks.
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
First things first, you've done a lot of strength feats. Can you just give us a recap of the things you've done so far?
Not so many, it's just a handful.
Okay, well just give us a quick rundown of the handful of things you've done.
I think the first one that kind of led to it wasn't a strength thing so much. That was my swim from Robben Island, which is something I've wanted to do since the age of about 8.
Yes.
And training in the gym for that, I discovered that I have this physical strength, and that kind of led to the strength things. And then a couple of months after I did the swim, did a 10-ton truck pull. A few weeks after that I did a Dakota aircraft pull.
Yeah, wow.
Then I thought I'm done. I was, I only discovered this at the age of 39, which was a bit late. But
so why did you suddenly start doing this? That's probably a great question to start.
A program, a documentary on kids with cerebral palsy, actually, or cerebral palsy, I don't know, everybody pronounces it differently. That kind of kicked me out of my couch, because I was looking at these kids with smiles from ear to ear, and they can't physically do what I was capable of doing. And I thought, I really need to get myself into gear. I'm turning 40, I need to start living. I'm capable of doing anything, and I'm not. So I remembered the Robben Island swim that I've always wanted to do, and I thought, am I too old for it now? And no, I still really want to do this. And that's when I started training, and while I was training, I still didn't realize that I was strong, because I wasn't looking what the guys were lifting. I was just doing my own thing, wanting to get strong for the currents and that kind of thing. I did not want to fail at the swim. And then training for this in the gym, I discovered that I'm strong. One day when a guy put his finger up my nostrils and he said, "You're the reason I'll never set foot in a gym again." I was like, what?
Wow.
What do you mean? And I was so glad I could be his excuse. But that was the first time that I spoke to a trainer, and I said, what was that about? Because he saw this guy doing this, and he said, "Do you not understand how strong you are?" And I said, "What do you mean I'm strong?" And he said, "Just look at what the other guys are lifting." And this is the first time I looked around, because for me personally, everybody's on their own mission. I don't care what you're lifting, you're training for something different. Yep. So it was the first time I was looking. It's like, gosh, is that all you guys are lifting? And that's when I was like, I'm strong. I didn't realize. I thought everybody could do what I was doing. So then I thought, well, if I've got this God-gifted talent, then I must probably use it.
Okay, yep, that's fair enough.
So, and I think watching World's Strongest Man as a kid, it was something that I've always been keen on. And I think as a kid, I went through some tough patches, and there was a patch where I was even suicidal. Yeah. And watching these guys and just realizing that the strength that people have, for some weird, strange reason in my mindset, it made me believe that maybe I'm also strong, and maybe I can do this thing called life, So I think strong has always been, as far back as I can remember, a part of my life. The Bill Kazmaier days, those days, watching these guys.
Some people would say the golden days. But
yes, yeah. So I think that just led, and then it was a journalist that did an article on me with a swim afterwards, and after I did the swim, and he said to me, what are you doing next? And I've got a big mouth, I often say things, and afterwards, gosh, now I'm going to have to go and do this. And I said, I'd love to I'm going to pull a truck. And he's like, how big is this truck? So,
thank you.
Thanks. So, just after I did the swim, there was this journalist that said he'd love to do an article because I did this for cerebral palsy awareness, and I was sitting chatting to him, and he said, well, what are you going to do next? This is so awesome. It's a dream you've had for like 30 years. Yep. And not knowing what I was saying, I said to him, I'd love to pull a truck. And I'll never forget, he had this grin on his face, and he's kind of like, so, how big is this truck? And I said 10 tons, and as I said it, I thought, Liesl, you don't even know how big a 10-ton truck is. And he wrote this in the article, and I thought, oh no, I'm going to have to do this. So couldn't get home quick enough to Google how big is a 10-ton truck, and when I found out, I thought, I'm in trouble. So then training really started, and one thing just led to another. It's been a journey. It's been after I did the aeroplane pull, I was out for a while. I had Achilles tear, and the surgeon said to me, you know, you can't do strength sport anymore. And I just laughed at him. I said, you know, people told me all my life what I can and cannot. I choose, I will, if I want to. But then I had the opportunity to take part in essays, and I thought, you know, if opportunity comes your way, you grab it, you don't say no.
That's South Africa's strongest.
Yes, yeah. So at the time, I think I was still on crutches. So for me to have said yes at that time was quite major as well. So a couple of months later, I found myself up in Joburg doing SA Strongest. So yeah, that was quite a thing for me. It was the first pull that I did again after I did the Achilles tear. So it was a mental thing for me. But and that's when I started doing the talks at schools, and I thought, I'm retired. But I don't say that ever again, because every time I say that, then I get challenged to the next thing. So.
No, that's amazing. So just tell us about what do you do at schools?
It's been 5 years now that I've been visiting schools across South Africa, hoping to go abroad, if not this year, from next year. My passion's always speaking to kids that are in bullying situations, and not necessarily only the victims, but the actual bullies themselves, because I know that they are also victims in some situation. You know, I always say to the kids, no one's born violent. You've turned this way due to circumstances, due to experiences, and you now believe that this is who you are, but I'm here to tell you that you're not, and that's actually weak. You need to find your strength and deal with the stuff that's turned you into who you are. And it's been amazing how I'd find after a talk, bullies line up to come and speak to me. So as long as I have that, I will never stop doing it. You know, and the counselling experience, the sports psychology experience that I have, the trauma counselling experience that I've got, it always comes in very handy. So the youth, I think it's because I would have loved someone to come and tell me those things as the victim of the bullying, you know, in the lack of confidence, that it's not about you. The bully has an issue, don't take it personal, just let it get off you. So I don't think it's something that I'll stop doing. I'll probably walk with crutches at the age of 97 onto a stage and still speak to the kids.
Absolutely. If you're passionate about what you're doing, why would you ever retire?
Exactly. So, it's not a job, it's a passion. So
no, that's awesome. And you also run a competition on a yearly basis. Can you tell us a bit about that?
That started, well, we just started 2018 now, so it was in the end of 2016. I just had this desire to stop, because I love strongman. The sport really, I think it's in your blood or it's not, and it really is in my blood. And I decided to have a competition here in Cape Town, because there's not a lot of events in Cape Town organized for strongmen. And we decided to connect it to charity, which is always something that I enjoy doing. So we did a competition at the Victoria and Alfred Waterfront for the Riva Steenkamp Foundation, which is against domestic violence, and it went very well. We had Barry and June Steenkamp there supporting the athletes, lovely people. It was amazing. And the competition went so well that I just decided that this must be something that we do on a more regular basis, yearly, and it's now been kind of a set thing in the 16 days of activism. I've got this thing about abuse. I hate people being abused, you know, which is the same thing as the bullying thing. So this past December we had 1 year in the town that I stay in, Melkor Strand, and specifically against child abuse, because I think the statistics in South Africa on child abuse is horrific. And everything starts with awareness. You know, you can't change anything if you're not aware of it. So to me it was an awareness. It was a fantastic event that we were able to do. The athletes were amazing, so supportive of the cause. And we've now got support that we will be doing this on a yearly basis, working with our local DA councillor, ward councillor, and she's put in a word with us with sports and recreation. So, you know, to me it's a double good thing, because we are now not only bringing awareness to different charities, for example, but we are now also making the sport of strongman grow. which is something, again, that I'll probably be doing. I'll probably be refereeing. Bring me a wheelchair and a whistle and I'll be there,
Absolutely, we're always looking for officials all around the world. I know, so it's definitely, but one thing I do want to go back to, we were speaking earlier and you were talking about some work you were doing with some teenage girls.
Yes. I do holiday programs. I've done a couple of holiday programs, and one we've done with our local police, with a couple of troubled teenagers, and we had a few girls about 16 to 18 years old, and these girls they've all gone through some very serious things in their life, and we had about a 75 kilogram tire. And I said to the girls, who's going to flip this tire for me? And they all went, oh, no, this is too heavy, and they didn't even know the weight of it when they said that. So I said, firstly, stop saying you can't, you will do this, the moment you say you can't, you can't. The mental strength thing. So there was one girl that I spotted kind of hiding behind the others, and I thought, that's the girl that I want to work with. So I pulled her out and I said, you're going to flip this tire for me. And she started again, I can't. I said, no, that's the last time you said that to me now. And she stood in front of me and I said to her, close your eyes for a second and think of the worst thing you've ever been through in your life, and just go there for a split second and tell me if that's worse than flipping this tire. And she said, yes, it was much worse than having to flip this tire. So I said, well, then what's your problem? Flip the tire.
That's it, flip it.
So I said to her, but I'm now going to ask you to do it 10 times, not just once. And again, she, the doubt thing, I said, no, I'm going to help you. I'm going to shout at you. Don't take this personal, but you're going to do this. And she ended up doing the 10 flips. There was a local paper's journalist that ended up walking away in tears and said, she's never seen someone come out of their shell so quickly. And I just grabbed this girl again afterwards at her shoulders and I said to her, why did you tell me how many times could you do this? And she said, I didn't think I could do it. So I said, well, how many other things in your life is there that you can do that you believe you can't?
Very true.
And you could see this kid, she was suddenly the most popular amongst the group, instantly.
Yeah.
And to me it was again the proof of how a strong man can build confidence. That setting your personal best and getting there, and just that feeling of accomplishment of like, heck, I did it, So to me, that is why the sport is something that I'm so passionate about. Besides the athlete cheering each other on, you don't get that in other sports. Other sports like, gosh, I wish the drops it or falls or whatever. In this sport, the guys literally stand in front of them and motivate each other. I think it's one of the best sports ever.
No, I don't disagree with you that at all. But so you're 39, sitting on TV, you decided to change things. What was life like before?
Gosh, I think I was surviving, not living.
Yeah. I think a lot of us that go through that.
You go through the motions of life. You do the job, you earn the money, you pay the bills, you get the salary, and tomorrow the salary's gone, and you start slaving away again. And I think I was just in a rut. And
you hadn't found your purpose, maybe?
No, absolutely. It was definitely that was it was. And I think I only found my purpose after I started doing trauma counseling and discovering that that's the true purpose that I've got, is to tell kids that there's hope, that you can change, that you don't have to be what your parents tell you have to be. If your dad keeps telling you you're useless, that doesn't mean you're useless. That's your dad's point of view.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's also about the kids, teaching them about the uniqueness, about that you have your own uniqueness, you are who you are. Don't allow other people to come and tell you who you should be.
It's actually interesting you say that, because as adults, when we go for jobs, and you might not get the job, and we often feel we don't get the job because we're not good enough.
Yes.
So you have it as a child, but as an adult you can get it, we're not good enough. When the actual fact is that the person who interviewed you didn't think you were the one they wanted.
Exactly.
You may well be the best person for that job, but it's just the people who interview you don't think that way. So it's very interesting how we take on board what we think people perceive of us, and take that internally.
Yes, absolutely. I think in general people take things too personal, and that's what when I teach the kids as well, it's not about you, and even the adult workshops that I've done, trying to get out of that mindset that it's about you. It's not about you. It's not about taking things personal if things don't go your way. It's not meant to be. but it doesn't mean you need to go sit back on the couch and go, okay, well, you know, I'm now worthless again.
Okay, so you did the Robben Island swim. What people might not realise is that that's quite shark infested water you're swimming through there.
Yes.
How did you prepare yourself for that from a fear perspective, or are you just not frightened of sharks?
They are there, definitely. I mean, we've got Seal Island on this side of the ocean, so there are sharks. Saw some very dodgy things when I was training.
What do you mean? What do you see?
There were a couple of times when I was swimming along the beach. There was one time specifically that I remember. I just took a breath and I looked down as I put my face back in the water, and something went under me. It could have been a seal, I don't know, but it was a massive one if it was.
Yep.
But just that moment of what was that, you know, just makes you swim at an unbelievable speed. And it's a reality. There are sharks. I know of quite a lot of people who tried to do the crossing that had to be pulled out of the water when they spotted fins. So
yep.
I think a mental thing for me was obviously the preparation, keeping your mind occupied for the 3.5 hours, not thinking about what could be coming at you. And the water was so clear that day, you know, that you keep thinking, how far can I see? Am I going to see it coming towards me? Do I want to keep my eyes open, or do I want to do these strokes with my eyes closed? But I had an amazing team on the support boat, and they just said if they spot anything, no discussions, I'm out of that water. They'll just rip me at the back of my costume and I'm out of there.
So how many kilometres is it there and back?
If
you came back as well?
Yep. Yeah, I swam from the island, went with the boat to the island with a rubber duck, and then swam back.
Yeah.
So straight across is about 7 kilometers.
Okay.
But on the GPS that day we measured 9 kilometers. I kind of swam in a V shape to swim against current, to swim with current, and then when we got to turning point, the current turned as well, which was 9 kilometers against current.
Wow.
But I don't regret it for a minute, because I think that was my breakthrough in confidence, in realizing that other people always told me that I wouldn't be able to do it. They lied. It was their opinion. I could do whatever I put my mind to, and I think just the feeling of accomplishment walking out on the beach was like, what else can I do? You know, similar to what I was explaining to that other girl, you've now done the tie flips, how many other things can you do? And it was like letting the beast out of the cage. It's like, what else is there, you know? And it's just been a journey since then, and opening yourself to it and not allowing a lack of confidence, because it keeps on wanting to creep in, to just say, I'm doing this. You know, if an opportunity comes, I'm grabbing it.
No, that is awesome. Like with Robben Island, what some people may or may not realise, Nelson Mandela was obviously locked up on Robben Island for a long time. As a South African, what does Nelson Mandela mean to you?
Oh gosh, I think this country misses him desperately. I had so much respect and admiration for him. You know, for a man who's been imprisoned for just trying to fight for freedom for 27 years and come out not with hatred, but with absolute forgiveness and wanting to make this country as awesome as it is. I've got so much respect for him, and I wish he was released. Well, I wish he never went to prison, but if he could have been released earlier, and we had him as a leader a little bit longer, I think this country would have been in a very different state. But money, I'm not going to get into politics, but money, eagerness and money, you know, we had discussions about money stuff earlier. I think that has corrupted a lot in South Africa, and I think a man like Nelson Mandela, I think it is so disrespectful about what's happening in our country towards him, who fought for it, who sat in prison for it, who came out and forgave everybody and said, you know, this is now time to look forward. For people to have corrupted the country that it is at the moment, I think it's quite sad. I don't think he would have appreciated that. It's not what he stood for. You know, he was a man that said my salary is too high when he became president, and started the Children Foundation. So I think in that sense as well, if I could have had the opportunity to sit and chat to him, we would have probably spoken for hours, because he also had a heart for kids. And he was an educated man, you know, he was an attorney. He was... It's really sad what's happened in the past in this country, and I always say we can only look forward, but I think there's needing to be a couple of changes in our country at the moment before we can look forward again. But it was an amazing, it's something that I thought about during the swim as well, thinking about this is the island that he was on for so many years. You know, it almost becomes an emotional thing in a way, doing the swim, and you keep thinking, gosh, this is the island that this man's been on, and there's a sentimental thing that goes through your mind as well.
I can imagine that. So just to sort of finish up now, because I know you've got to go, just have you got any words or anything you'd like to leave with us?
Gosh, so many. This might be about 2 hour session.
Is there a motto? Could you give us a motto?
I think something that I always like to leave with people is don't allow situations or people or experience to define who you are. You're here for a purpose, you're on this planet for a reason. Search for it and live it, because that's where happiness is, that's where passion is. We're not here to suffer, we're not here to do slave jobs. We are here to make a difference on this planet, and until you discovered what that is, you've not lived. Yep. So I think that's what I leave you with.
No worries. Well, thank you, and keep making a difference.
Thank you. Thanks
Brilliant
so much.
to meet you.
Very much. Thanks so much.